Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and today we are going to be doing yet another tier list. This time we're going to be ranking the defenders in FPL for the new season. So try and work out which ones are the best picks and which ones maybe you guys should be avoiding. So guys, if you do enjoy these tier list videos, let me know by leaving a like. Do subscribe if you want more tier list videos. And make sure you do check out the midfielders and forwards one after this if you haven't done already. Let's have a look at these defenders for the game. Alright, so we've got 30 of the most popular defenders in FPL. I'm going to put them all on this list today, starting off with the 30th most popular, and that is actually going to be Dan Burn, who I feel like maybe is just like an avoid. I feel like there's not really much point in going for Burn when you could just go for Botman instead. I know Burn plays as a left back, but he's not really very attacking, and in general, he's probably like the most at risk of minutes of any of the back four defenders in the Newcastle line. So if you're just looking for that reliable 4.5 million bench backup option, and I think that is what a lot of people are looking for, then why go for Dan Burn? And like, he's not as reliable as like a Botman, for example. So I feel like he's an avoid, particularly with these fixtures. Don't really see that there's too much point in going for him, to be fair. So I'm going to put him in the avoid category. Next up, Matty Cash. Going to put him in risky pick, just because a few Aston Villa fans are actually saying that the Aston Villa are maybe looking to play with a slightly more defensive right back in the new season, just because of the way they kind of attack on the left hand side with Moreno, that maybe Matty Cash might actually not be as favoured, and even if he is, he might not be as attacking as we've seen in previous seasons. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Maybe pre-season will give us some answers, but for now, I feel like Matty Cash might be actually a little bit more risky of a pick than I thought he was. But look, 4.5 million, you can't go too wrong with that, but I don't know if he is as reliable as maybe I thought he was, to be fair. Next up, Robertson. He's going to go in the avoid category. I mean, Robertson these days is pretty much playing as a centre-back, and I know people think Robertson is a left-back. Yeah, he plays at the left-back position. Liverpool play with really, really high-up fullbacks. Well, they switched that at the end of last season. They changed that up entirely, and Robertson is really playing as like a left centre-back, really, in a back three. That's kind of the position he's playing in, so you're not going to get the same amount of attacking return from him as we have seen in previous seasons, and not a lot of people know that. Well, some people know that, some people don't, if they haven't been following Liverpool and, you know, how they've changed up their tactics at the end of last season where it worked really, really well. We did see Robertson basically ghosting points entirely because he wasn't in the same positions as Trent Alexander-Arnold. So some people saying, hey, I'm just going to spend 6.5 on Robertson rather than spend 8 million on Trent. They're the same player, aren't they? No. One is a centre-back. The other one is a midfielder. It's very, very obvious which one you should choose, to be fair. Robertson at 6.5 million is a huge price tag for a player who is not really going to be getting many attacking returns this season. I think he could even be off many of the set pieces that he's taken in the past. I think Szoboszlai could come in and take some set pieces off Robertson as well. So I think he's going to be worse as an FPL asset than ever, unfortunately for him, but he's going to go in avoid. There we go. Manuel Kanji, I feel like avoid him as well. 5 million is a good price tag for him, I guess, but I think there is going to be rotation risk of these Man City defenders. I mean, let's be honest, like, they've got so many centre-backs right now. They're looking to add Guardiola as well to their team as well. Someone's going to miss out, and Akanji, I feel like, is one of probably the first players to miss out, especially now, you know, Ruben Diaz is now fit and available as well. We've got Laporte in there, not sure if he's staying, John Stones, Ake, Guardiola as well. When you add all these players together, it starts to look like some of these defenders are going to be serious rotation risk, and that's not really what we want. Look, I would say just go for Edison. If you want to spend 5 million, you know, maybe 5.5 million, like, Edison is your safe pick if you just want someone to get you clean sheet points, because I don't think Akanji is going to get much more than that anyway, and Akanji is going to be rotating, so not really sure this is the way into the Man City defense, if there is a way into the Man City defense at all, to be fair. Next up, Pedro Porro. I think he's definitely a risky pick, but I feel like he's a risky in a good way. There's kind of talk of Porro playing as actually like more of a right winger this season, because it doesn't really suit the straight up right back kind of position. So he could play as a right winger. If he does, he's going to be like an essential pick. He's going to be a must-have. He's going to be a great pick. He's going to be amazing. But we don't know that yet. We need to wait and see where Porro is going to be playing, because right now, all I see is a defender who is going to be playing potentially at right back in a defence that is probably going to struggle for clean sheets at the start of the season, no matter how good the fixtures are, because it will be a very attacking team, new system that's got to be adapted to. And to be fair, players like Porro, they don't really have the personnel to fit this system. You know, Porro playing at right back is just kind of not really going to work very well for this flat back four that Postecoglou wants to play at Spurs. So it's a risky pick, but I definitely appreciate it's a risk that could pay off. Next up, Ben Chilwell. I actually don't mind this pick. I feel like this is okay. Chilwell in the past in FPL, we've seen him get really, really monster scores, do really, really well. People will say, well, Chilwell always gets injured. Well, that's fine. Like, yes, when a player is injured, you've got to transfer them out. But if they're getting points while they are not injured, then why aren't you getting them? Like, Chilwell right now is not injured, so there is you can't use the injury excuse. And people do this all the time. People say with, like, for last season, for example, people said, oh, I'm not going to pick Callum Wilson because he's injury prone. All right, fine. Yeah, Callum Wilson does get injured, but if you pick him when he's not injured, he gets you loads of FPL points. And when he does get injured, you just transfer him out. That's what transfers are for, right? So I don't like that argument. I like the idea of going for Chilwell. I actually think that Chilwell will be playing more advanced than Reece James for Chelsea. I feel like Reece James is going to tuck in and Chilwell will be more of the bombing forward kind of left back. And we've seen that time and time again. Like this pick, and I'm surprised not many people are going for him, to be fair, because I think it could be a really, really good one. Might even go for him myself. Maybe that 5.5 million is putting some people up, and the mystery around Chelsea, I guess. Fabian Schär, I actually like this pick. I think it's one of the better picks. I'm going to put him in risky category just because he has such bad fixtures, and we're not really expecting too many clean sheets at the start of the season for Newcastle. But in terms of attacking returns, there's no one really better than Fabian Schär, so I like this one. We'll put him there. Cancelo's going to go in straight in a void. I don't even think he's going to be at the club. I don't think he really fits the system. Like, to play 6 million for a player who is super, super rotation risk and, might not even stay at the club, to be fair. No way. He just doesn't suit what City are doing at the moment, so unfortunately he is going to have to be a straight up avoid. A lot of money for him as well. We've got Martinez. I guess he's like an okay pick, but like I still feel like I would go for pretty much any other Man United defender other than him. Particularly if Onana comes in at 5 million, I would way prefer Onana at 5 million than Martinez at 5 million in the defence. He's just not going to get too many attacking returns from him. Doesn't really do too well for bonus points either. You're just going to get clean sheet points from him, and I don't think that's enough for 5 million. Don't really like that. Rico Henry, I think he's a solid pick. For 4.5 million, good fixtures. Can't really go too wrong with this one. It's just a solid, good 4.5 million pick with good fixtures. Nothing to complain about. Yeah, absolutely fine with this one. I'm going to put him actually above Ben Chilwell as well. Bulldog, probably my favourite of the 4 million defenders. If you're looking for a 4 million defender, then Bulldog is, to me, possibly the most solid. I mean, maybe there's some risk there, like a tiny bit of rotation with Bogle, but in general, to get a wing back for 4 million for Sheffield United, that ain't too bad, so I don't mind that one bit. I'm going to put Ruben Dias. I feel like he's not a straight-up avoid, but there still is always going to be some risk in the Man City defenders, so I'm not going to put him any higher than that. I feel like, in general, Man City defenders, we can't put them too much higher than risky pick. Ben Mee, straight up avoid. Yeah, don't like this pick really at all. I'm going to put him really close to the bottom, actually, just because we've got Pinnock and we've got Henry at 4.5 million, and both Pinnock and Henry are just as nailed on as Ben Mee, but actually have much better attacking output. They're more likely to get goals, they're more likely to get assists, so therefore spending an extra 0.5 on Ben Mee doesn't make sense. You get a worse FPL asset, but you spend more to get it. Makes no sense whatsoever. There is no reason in my mind to go for Ben Mee in your FPL team. So for me, he is an avoid. Next up, Nathan Ake. Really good season last season, but I feel like Guardiola may kind of push him out of the team. So therefore, I feel like he's a soft avoid. Maybe you could put him in risky pick, but I feel like he's probably more of a soft avoid. Let's wait and see what Man City do in the transfer window before committing on him. I guess, all right, let's just be generous. Right now, he's risky, but I feel like he could very quickly become an avoid. Tariq Lamptey, look, I know people have a lot of nostalgia love for him. A couple of years ago, he was flying in FPL, but recently he's just not really fitted the Brighton system, even when he has been fit, and that's not been very often. He is very cheap at 4 million, but until he gets a transfer move or a loan move elsewhere, I just don't see why you would go for him as your 4 million defender. Our 4 million defenders, their job really is to sit on the bench and, score us points, come in, auto sub on when we need them. And if that's going to be the case, we do need someone who's kind of going to be a little bit reliable, and I don't think Lamptey is that. I just don't really feel like we've got Purvis Estupiñán bombing up the left-hand side. We can't really have a Lamptey on the opposite side, so maybe things change, maybe things adapt. Right now, I think he's an avoid. Next up, Virgil van Dijk. I feel like he's actually not such a bad pick. We know he's super, super good in the air. Liverpool have mixed fixtures, to be fair, but I feel like there could be clean sheets to be picked up. He's slightly cheaper than Robertson, which is pretty nice, so you've got a nailed nailed-on defender with mixed fixtures in a defense that is improving and decent aerial threat there as well. So he is not quite solid because at 6 million, that is a big outlay. You're spending a lot of money and there is going to be risk involved if you're spending that much money on a defender. My issue with Virgil van Dijk is the fact that you don't know when his goals are going to come. You don't know when he's going to justify that 6 million price tag. Sometimes he will score a random goal from a header in a corner. You don't know when that's going to happen. So therefore, that is the risk. I think he's a good risk to take, don't get me wrong, but I don't think I want to put him any higher than here. I don't think he's quite a solid pick, unlike Bayer, who maybe is the most solid of the 4 million defenders. You know, you get pretty much nailed on player there. He's going to be playing pretty much every single game. Playing for a Burnley defense, you'll probably think it's the strongest defense of the newly promoted teams. I think we probably would all agree with that one. Maybe Sheffield United might have something to say about that one, but in general, yeah, decent centre-back, going to be playing pretty much every game for Burnley this season. Maybe get the occasional clean sheet. I think that's pretty much everything you could really ask for from a 4 million defender, to be fair. So I like that one. We're going to put Ben White in the avoid category. I don't think he is that nailed on now that Jurrien Timber has arrived at Arsenal. They kind of play it in a similar kind of position, a similar kind of role. So I can see Ben White actually getting rotated occasionally with Timber, and that would be fine if White was 4.5 million or 5 million. But unfortunately, because we've got Gabriel, we've got Zinchenko, both of those players, you know, Saliba as well, all at 5 million. I don't know why you would spend an extra 0.5 million on the one who is the most, at most, rotation risk at this present moment. Considering that Ben White, his attacking output isn't particularly higher than Gabriel's, for example. I think they're kind of similar. I think Gabriel might even be slightly ahead. Gabriel's certainly higher on the expected goals, which the goals are what gets you points for defenders. So Gabriel is probably the better pick, even if they were the same price. So again, therefore, by proxy, and the other players, the other options at Arsenal, I feel like Ben White is the worst of the back four in terms of FPL. And at 5.5 million, I don't know if I'm going to spend that, so he is going to be an avoid for that very reason. Zinchenko is, I feel like, a solid pick. I feel like a solid pick, yeah, decent. A little bit of creativity there, but not too much. Should be playing every single game for Arsenal unless they sign someone new. Maybe monitor the Kieran Tierney situation. But yeah, I feel like we can put him just about in solid, particularly with these great fixtures that Arsenal have. I feel like there's good reasons to go for him, but maybe I prefer some of the other defenders, to be fair. Saliba, for example, I probably would prefer to go for Saliba. Doesn't have an insane amount of attacking threat. I know he scored a couple of goals at the start of last season, but at the same time, it kind of seemed like he was kind of fortunate to get those attacking returns, and it didn't really look like it was sustainable. And we did see, after the first few weeks, the goals and assists did dry up for Saliba a little bit. It wasn't sustainable, but at the same time, nailed on, you would say, for Arsenal. Only 5 million, so pretty cheap there, and you can get yourself some clean sheets for a decent price. Next up, Tyrone Mings. I feel like he might even, he's definitely risky at the very least. I think he might even be an avoid, despite his popularity. He's going to go in the avoid category, guys, and the reason I'm putting him in the avoid category is because of the new signing, Pau Torres. So I feel like Torres could limit Mings' game time, or at least there's going to be a little bit of rotation there. You know, Aston Villa are kind of quickly acquiring a lot of centre-backs. I think Pau Torres is probably the only nailed-on one who would be like my first choice if I'm going for a 4.5 million defender from Aston Villa. Shame he's not in the most popular players, because I feel like he is a solid pick for me. So Pau Torres, solid pick. Mings, you know, we've got Consa there, we've got Carlos there. Who's going to be taking that second position in the Aston Villa back line? I don't know. I don't think it's a risk worth taking. So Mings, for me, is going to be an avoid. There's plenty of other great 4.5 million defenders to go for. Pau Torres at the same club is one of them. So go for him instead. Gabriel, great pick. Really, really like this pick. I think it's one of my favourite defenders to go for. Probably making my top 3 defenders to go for. The second best expected goals last season out of all defenders. Only Fabian Schär beat him. And Fabian Schär, we know what a monster he is in terms of XG. Gabriel obviously playing for a strong Arsenal defence that is improving. Got all of their good defensive players back in the team as well, which is good to see. Great fixtures as well. There is so many good things to like about Gabriel. I feel like he is a super, super good pick. I don't think he's quite must-have, because I think your alternative is maybe going for Ramsdale in goal. I would pick at least one of Ramsdale and Gabriel, though, basically. I think if there was no Ramsdale, or Ramsdale was priced at like 6 million or something like that, then Gabriel would be a must-have suddenly. But I feel like there is an option to take the Ramsdale route instead of Gabriel. That's the only thing stopping him from being a must-have, in my opinion. I think he's a really, really good pick. Reece James, I'm interested in, at the very least. There's no midweek football for Chelsea, no European football, so that could help someone like James a lot. I still think Chilwell could be slightly more attacking than James in this new Chelsea system under Poch, but James could potentially be on penalties. It's either going to be Nkunku or Reece James on penalties. We're not exactly sure yet, but if it's Reece James, he could be really good. So going to put him in a similar bracket to Chilwell, but I'm going to put Chilwell just slightly ahead of him. John Stones, as with all Man City defenders, is a risk. He's 5.5 million. I don't know. Who do you think is more nailed on out of Ruben and Stones? Possibly Ruben Diaz, but Stones does have that little bit of attacking threat, which I like. But as with all Man City defenders, we don't know when they're going to get rotated. There is always going to be a degree of risk, so it's very difficult to call them solid picks. I think Amari Bell at Luton, again, a risky pick, just because Luton, I don't think they're going to do too well defensively. So yes, you might get Bell off the bench, but you're usually, if you get Bell off the bench, you know, in a worst case scenario, you might be getting a lot of 1-pointers. You might be getting a lot of 0-pointers as well. If Luton concede, you know, 2 goals or 4 goals, or if Bell gets a yellow card, suddenly you may as well not have him in your team. You may as well not have a bench option at all. And I think that is the one risk you do run with Luton defenders. I don't think any of them can be properly trusted. So he's going to go in the risky pick category. But at the same time, he's 4 million. So, you know, you have to kind of manage your expectations a little bit with them. Botman, I guess, is like solid at 4.5 million. Don't love the fixtures, but look, he's going to be starting every game. He's only 4.5 million, and maybe after a few game weeks, Botman could become a really useful FPL asset. So I feel like Botman is solid, mostly down to his cheap price. He's nailed onness as well. So I kind of like that. I mean, maybe you guys think I'm being a bit harsh putting Burn at Avoid and Botman at solid, but look, they're both the same team, same price. If you're going to go for one, you're probably going to go for Botman. So that's what we're going to do there. Next great pick is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm not going to put him as high as Gabriel, but I feel like he is not a must-have, but like definitely a really good player to have, because you get a midfielder who gets clean sheet points. If Liverpool improve their defensive record like they did at the end of last season, they continue that into the new season, we're going to get clean sheets from Trent. And then if we get attacking returns as well from Trent, we're going to get bonus points as well. And it's really difficult this year to pick the right Liverpool attacker to go for. Outside of Salah, who do you go for? Gakpo, Darwin, Jota, Diaz, Szoboszlai, McAllister. There's so many. And there's going to be a bit of a rotation there. What we have with Trent is a complete lack of rotation, which is fantastic. We'll get him every single game. And I feel like he could get just as many attacking returns as some of the players further forward up the pitch, just because those other guys are going to get rotated. Trent's going to be there every day, every week, getting those set pieces, you know, making those crosses, making those passes. Love it. Love him. Next up, Kieran Trippier, the third most popular defender in FPL, is going to go in the avoid category. Yeah, I'm putting him in the avoid category. I mean, look, maybe I'm being a little harsh there. We could potentially put him in risky, because we always have the potential for attacking returns from Trippier, and that is the one saving grace. But the fixtures are bad. If you're buying Trippier, it's not like you're buying Botman to kind of, you know, serve as a backup or a rotation option. If you buy Trippier for 6.5 million, which is super expensive, you are buying a player who you are going to start every game. Now, clean sheets are going to be hard to come by. Attacking returns could happen, but it is a bit of a risk. And you're spending a lot of money on a player who, if it doesn't work out, if a few goals are conceded and we don't get attacking returns, and things did dry up second half of the season for Trippier last season with attacking returns and with clean sheets. If a similar thing happens at the start of the new season in these horror fixtures, we're soon going to see Trippier drop to 6.4 million price. He's going to drop to 6.3 million price. And at that point, his fixtures will start to get good again. So at that point, maybe that's the time to pick up Trippier. One, when his price is actually a little bit lower. And two, when the fixtures look a little bit better as well. Right now, I think Trippier is just too expensive for a run of fixtures that is quite that bad. So wait and see on Trippier. I think he could be useful eventually, right at the start of the season. Gameweek 1, not for me. Next up, Luke Shaw. I feel like he is probably another great pick. He's probably, you know, making the top batch of defenders there. A little bit expensive at 5.5, and if Onana comes in at 5 million, you possibly ditch Shaw for that. But Shaw, on some set pieces, taking some corners, taking the odd free kick from distance as well, those more creative free kicks, and bombing forward and getting attacking returns a lot of the time, plus playing for a Manchester United team that's actually pretty solid defensively. I would definitely prefer to spend the extra 0.5 on Shaw than go for the 5 million Martinez. I think you get so much more from Shaw. Shaw's really good for bonus points as well, does really well on the bonus point system, so there's a lot of points to be gained there. But we've got one more player that we have to add to the list, and it is Pervis Estupiñán. And let me tell you guys, I am a pervert for Pervis. He is, to me, the #1 defender to go for in the game. He is like 50% owned right now. A lot of people have recognized that he's pretty much essential to go for. The best way into this Brighton defense. You get a nailed-on, super attacking left-back who scores goals, runs one-on-one with against the goalkeeper. He will make crosses into the box. He will pass to Mitoma, the player playing in front of him, who will do some magic and score a goal himself. Look, there is so many avenues for Estupiñán to get points. We saw so much from him last season that looked so good, particularly in the second half of the season. He looked like an absolute world beater, like the new star kind of fullback, attacking fullback of the league. Like maybe like the next Trent Alexander-Arnold or the next Robertson or something like that. That's kind of what he looked like towards the end of last season. And at the start of this new season, we have some phenomenal fixtures, starting off with Luton Town at home. You can't really go wrong with this one. I feel like we've got clean sheets on the cards. I think we've got attacking returns on the cards. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player that I believe is genuinely a must-have for your fantasy teams, guys. And that concludes the tier list. Let me know what you think. Have I got anything really wrong here? Have I got anything right here? Are there any other players that weren't including in this tier list that you feel like deserve a mention and deserve to be put on this list? Let me know in the comments what you think, what other players there are. Always good to read what you guys have got to say. And that is it from me today. If you did enjoy this one, please do drop a like. Really appreciate it. We will be doing the goalkeepers tier list video next. And then we'll move on to some more, I don't know, more creative tier lists, I guess, after that. As long as you guys are still enjoying them, which you can let me know by leaving a like. Do go check out the other tier list videos, the midfielders and the forwards, if you want to get all of them. Like, you got to complete the tier list series, guys. Do subscribe if you want more FPL content on your screens. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again. Check out Fantasy Football Hub, link in the description. And I will see you later, mates.